tonight on NewsVision. Despite proposals from the Biden administration to relieve debt for millions of students, that might not happen. Find out why the Supreme Court is fighting student loan forgiveness.
Of ensuring not one, not some, but every single student has what they need and what they deserve.
Plus, it's been unseasonably hot here in South Florida, but some parts of the country are buried in snow. We will get the full picture from our meteorologist, Charlotte Cole. And later on, one UM basketball player is getting the chance of a lifetime after getting her opportunity to shine in the starting lineup.
The ACC is the best conference in women's basketball. Like, for a week, I was the best player in the conference.
Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of NewsVision. I'm Bella Papaduke.
And I'm Harvey Duplock. Thank you for joining us tonight. UM's most anticipated semi-annual event is back. For the past 5 years, student government has been hosting celebrity guest speakers every semester.
It's showtime right now in the Shalala Student Center, but this semester's event will be slightly different for students who attend.
Daryl Barnes is live outside the event. Daryl, what makes tonight so unique?
Guys, this time last year, students were packing into the Watsco Center to hear from musical icon Pitbull. But this year, yes, things are different. We're back in the original venue of the Shalala Student Center, but also for the first time ever, students are hearing from an interpreter. That's because tonight's guest is award-winning actress Marlee Matlin, who is deaf. Now, she's best known by most students for her leading role in the 2021 film Coda, but she started off the event tonight talking about encouraging students to never let their disabilities define them. And there may be no one better to go and send this message, because in 1987, at just 21, Matlin broke a bunch of barriers, becoming the youngest person to win the Academy Award for Best Actress and the first and only deaf actress to win an Oscar. And just this year, she became the first deaf director in the American Directors Guild. So definitely an inspiring person to hear from today. I'm going to head back inside to enjoy the rest of the show. From the Shalala Center, Daryl Barnes, back to you guys.
Thank you, Daryl. Now, March is Women's History Month, and to celebrate, the Patricia A. Whiteley Women's Leadership Symposium organized the first annual Women's Resource Fair that took place yesterday right here on campus. The goal of the event is to empower female students, teach them about available resources, and provide them with the opportunity to interact with many women-centered organizations on campus and throughout the community.
And so we kind of wanted to spotlight different businesses, community partners, such as the Women's Breast and Heart Initiative, Lotus House, and then also student organizations that all ties in into our 5 pillars, which is health, community, career, entrepreneurship, and safety.
The main event of the symposium will happen on March 24th from 4 to 8:30 p.m. This year's theme is Era of Empowerment. There will be keynote conversations, workshops, and networking opportunities.
It's election season here at the U, with student government elections taking place last week. Voting closed on Wednesday, February 22nd, but the results are still not in. Students gathered at the U statue on Tuesday afternoon to hear the winners of the election. Candidates had the opportunity to run for executive positions, including student body president, vice president, and treasurer. And there were election seats for Senate positions. The winners announced on Tuesday were Angela Ansaw as vice president from All About You ticket and Paige Tatum Hott as treasurer from the All About You ticket. The winner of student body president will be determined in a runoff election between Angel Aguilar with All About You and Niles Nassim with Undeniable You. Voting is now open in the runoff election, and it closes tomorrow at 8 a.m. The final results will be announced tomorrow at noon. Be sure to make your voice heard and go cast your vote.
The Miami Dolphins held their annual Cancer Challenge last weekend at Hard Rock Stadium. The event raised money for thousands across South Florida battling the disease. Our director, Anna Kuhn, has the story.
Lena Pink has been training for her first 5K for the past 4 months. And for some, finishing a 5K might not seem like a big deal. But for Lena, it marked the end of something bigger.
They made me feel like a superwoman because we fought my cancer.
Lena won her battle with breast cancer a year ago, but finishing this race marked the start of a life where she wasn't defined by a disease.
And we created this amazing training program for survivors that is called Believe in You. And we trained them for 4 months to get here and to make them strong and ready for this race.
Hundreds of participants crossed this finish line behind me today, but the figure that people were worried about today was not their finishing time. It was the $10 million figure. That amount of money was raised for cancer research here at the Dolphins Challenge Cancer event.
Being able to help back the people that helped me, to be able to get over this cancer thing, and I'm just looking forward for them to find a cure.
The Dolphins Cancer Challenge event is a year-round initiative in partnership with the Sylvester Cancer Center, and it's the NFL's largest fundraising event. Over 4,000 people participated in the various bike races and 5K, all in an effort to raise money for cancer research. For UMTV, I'm Anna Kuhn.
The Dolphins Challenge Cancer is accepting donations through March 14th, and 100% of the money collected will go towards the University of Miami's Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. If you would like to donate, head to dolphinschallengecancer.com.
The Bill Cosford Cinema aired a movie last week for their Global Frontier series. Reporter Charlie Hill attended the screening.
When you think of the word endangered, your first thought might be a species, not an entire profession. Last Saturday, the School of Communication hosted a screening of the HBO documentary, Endangered. It shares the stories of 4 journalists and the threats and danger they encounter while doing their job. But for everyone in the cinema, one story hit close to home.
Journalists who, like Carl Just, who go into social protests, and in this context of being, called the enemy of the people.
Carl Just is a photojournalist for the Miami Herald and a UM School of Communication alum.
Journalism allowed me to have access to retell stories and to create narratives that are true to my experiences.
Threats and recent acts of violence against journalists, like the Spectrum News killing in Orlando and his involvement in the documentary, have left Just frustrated but not deterred.
One should always be careful. But you cannot live in fear. The act of living requires courage.
Despite the threats of the job, Hughes, Just, and other journalists agree that the future of journalism is in good hands.
Journalism is as good as the people who practice it. It's as good as the students who learn it. And as good as the public who appreciates it.
Reporting for UMTV, I'm Charlie Hill.
President Biden's plan to continue relieving student debt may not work out. This comes after Supreme Court justices are questioning whether his administration has the authority to cancel federal student loans. Announced last August could cancel $10,000 in federal student loan debt for people earning less than $125,000 per year. An additional $10,000 would be forgiven for a total of $20,000 of relief to recipients of the Pell Grant, typically given to those from lower income households.
We must and we will continue the pursuit toward our ultimate goal of ensuring not one, not some, but every single student has what they need and what they deserve.
Currently, federal student loan payments are still on pandemic-related pause. How and when the justices rule will determine when those payments resume.
Not far from campus, a shooting happened at an Asian restaurant very popular among UM students. Melanie Lowe is live at the restaurant with more. Melanie, can you tell us what happened?
Bella, I'm here at Sushi Maki in the popular Miracle Mile area of Coral Gables, where on Tuesday night, an off-duty police officer accidentally shot himself in the leg when his gun discharged inside of the restaurant. Now, the officer was taken to Jackson Memorial Hospital's trauma center, where he's currently being treated with non-life-threatening injuries. Additionally, another person inside of the restaurant was hit by the bullet, but no other injuries have been reported. Now, Sushi Maki is just a 10-minute drive from the University of Miami campus and is a popular dining location for students. According to officials, the officer is doing well and the investigation is ongoing. In Coral Gables, Melanie Lowe, UMTV.
Thank you, Melanie. Now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed a bill into law on Monday, giving him new power over Walt Disney World. The law allows the state to take over the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Reedy Creek is the special governing and taxing body that was in place for more than 50 years for the Disney World Resort in Orlando. DeSantis can now handpick the 5 new members on the board. The legislation also restricts the resort's use of eminent domain and removes powers that could have let Disney build its own airport, among other things.
Today, the corporate kingdom finally comes to an end. There's a new sheriff in town, and accountability will be the order of the day.
Walt Disney World Resort's president says that the company is ready to work within this new framework. The new board will meet next week. Now, Bella, it seems like Ron DeSantis is raining all over Disney's parade, but I wonder what the weather in the rest of the country is seeming
There's
like.
a lot crazier things going on than in Disney, and our meteorologist Charlotte Carl joins us live to tell us about that. Charlotte, what can you tell us?
Yes, thanks Bella and Harvey. Meteorologist Ryan Haas and I have been tracking these storms all day. There is a large low pressure system with the squall line branching off to the southwest. These storms are headed our way, but there are currently 3 tornado warnings out over near Shreveport, Louisiana. Now there are 3 supercells with active rotation at this moment. These storms are likely to be producing tornadoes as we speak. I'll track these storms and where they're headed next coming up. Bella?
Thanks, Charlotte. It's time for a short break now, but coming up, toxic algae blooms are growing on the west coast of Florida. We'll tell you what that means for your spring break. NewsVision will be right back.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff. That's what white people think. You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Nearly 100 people have been arrested after a major drug bust in Phoenix, Arizona. Officials say a large amount of drugs, weapons, and $2 million in cash were recovered. Some of the stash included more than 4.5 million fentanyl pills, more than 3,000 pounds of methamphetamine, and large quantities of heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl powder. Investigators blame the Sinaloa drug cartel for flooding the region with illegal drugs, and authorities say they are determined to defeat it.
Okay. But it's an epidemic that's been unleashed on purpose by the Sinaloa and the new generation Jalisco cartels.
Authorities say the drug seizure was the culmination of a 3-year investigation by the Drug Enforcement Agency and police in Arizona. They say some 100 people have been arrested.
With spring break only a week away, UM students are getting ready to go to the beaches all across the state. However, they might have to be careful with which beaches they pick. Toxic algae blooms, also known as red tide, have been growing around the southwest coast of Florida. Red tide can create breathing problems for humans as well as cause dead fish to wash up on the shore. Despite this, South Florida beaches have no plans to close before one of the biggest tourist events of the year.
Collier beaches are all wide open. In fact, the last of our beaches will be opening up this Saturday, which is Barefoot Beach will be opening up to the public, so we're really thrilled about that.
The size of an algae bloom determines how much and how long it will impact the water.
Severe snowstorms are continuing throughout California, leading San Bernardino County officials to declare a local emergency. This is the first blizzard warning ever declared for the San Bernardino Mountains. Residents have been stuck in their homes and cars, with many reporting power outages, and more than 600 students returned home after being trapped in the mountains over the weekend.
You know, like any child would miss their parents. She was thrilled. She gets to spend more time with her friends, her classmates, up in the snow while it's snowing.
Others are being escorted back home, but multiple roads are still closed with no estimate for when they will open back up. You know, Bella, the rest of the country is seeing a lot of snow, California especially. California doesn't get much snow. I wonder if Miami will.
I hope not. That's why I moved here, to not get any snow. Let's send it over to our student meteorologist, Charlotte Carl. Charlotte, what's going on?
Definitely not snow. Here in Coral Gables, we are sitting at a comfortable 78 degrees, and it's feeling almost just like that with the humidity at around 76%. Zooming out and taking a look at our temperatures nationwide, we do see a large cold front that I mentioned with that squall line sitting over Texas right now with that clear temperature gradient going on there, but here in Miami, we're nice and warm. All right, I promised you we would track this cold front as it moves to our area, so we are going to see the main impacts of that low pressure system track towards the northeast, and they'll definitely get some snow this weekend as well. But as for us, are we going to see that cool down? Not quite. Our weather is going to be dominated by this high pressure system and will actually cause that cold front to phase out. However, we are still going to see some showers Sunday night into Monday. Now, those showers are going to fizzle out overnight into Tuesday morning, and then we'll be back to warm weather. One consequence of this front that we will see, though, is some gusty winds. This is tomorrow around noon, and we are going to see gusts up to 36 miles an hour here in Miami, 39 miles an hour in West Palm. It's going to be gusty. Hold on to your hats. Now, our high temperatures are going to be extremely high for the next 7 days. We have 80 degrees as our average high temperature for this time of year, and we are going to be breaking records. Saturday, we're forecasting a high of 89 degrees, definitely flirting with that record high, and we cool down a little bit after those showers move through, but still very warm. Now, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We remain warm through the middle of next week, but we do see those chances of showers start to increase as we look ahead to the end of the weekend. Now, those low temperatures are going to moderate out and give us some nice cool evenings ahead. Bella or Andrew?
Already feeling like summer. Thanks, Charlotte. 5 months ago, Hurricane Ian's powerful winds tore through southwest Florida. The community is still recovering, but now they have a beacon of hope. The Sanibel Lighthouse stood proud on the coast of Florida for 138 years, guiding thousands of ships through the Gulf of Mexico. This area of Florida is no stranger to hurricanes, but with max winds of 155 miles per hour, the lighthouse lost a leg, and some feared it would never light up the shores again. But this week, the Sanibel Lighthouse was relit for the first time since Hurricane Ian landed. It will continue to guide ships and act as a symbol for the resilience of the people of Florida.
Canes baseball was on a tear this weekend at the Light. We'll bring you the highlights from Sunday's game right after the break.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is me? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutVaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Hello and welcome to sports. I'm Andrew Klein. Hurricanes baseball has been rolling to start the year after their opening day loss to Penn State. The Hurricanes had won 6 in a row going into Sunday's game against Dartmouth. Let's take a look at how Miami fared in the final game against their Ivy League opponent. Pick things up early in this one. Miami starter Alejandro Rosario gets the strike three looking. He had 7 strikeouts on the day in 6 innings. Now offensively, Dorian Gonzalez crushing one the other way. Gonzalez 2 for 4, a homer and 3 RBIs in the game as Miami dominant offensively. Let's take a look. One more bomb right here. Jason Torres cranks one to left field. Couple more for the Hurricanes as they go on to win 20-2 over Dartmouth. March has finally arrived, and that means one thing. The madness is incoming. The Hurricanes currently have both men's and women's basketball teams projected to make the upcoming tournament, with the men currently listed as a 5 seed and the women currently listed as a 9 seed in the latest updates of bracketology. On the men's side, Joe Lunardi has the Alabama Crimson Tide listed as the top overall seed in the bracket. The Tide have been one of the best teams in the nation all year long, but they faced some turmoil lately off the court. The current AP #1 team in the nation, the Houston Cougars, are the 2nd overall seed, and they've won their last 9 games. Purdue is listed as the 3rd overall seed in the tournament and are looking to Naismith Player of the Year candidate Zach Edey to lead them to the promised land. The final 1 seed is the reigning national champion Kansas Jayhawks, looking to win their 2nd straight title. And over on the women's side, bracketologist Charlie Cream has the reigning champion South Carolina Gamecocks sitting at the top of the overall spot for the 2nd year in a row. The Gamecocks are looking to become the first repeat champion since UConn in 2016. Stanford's the #2 overall seed right now despite their recent loss to Utah, and Big Ten champion Indiana sits at the #3 overall seed right now, according to Cream. The Hoosiers are looking for their first NCAA championship in school history. Rounding out the top 4 are the Utah Utes, who defeated Stanford last week to claim a share of the Pac-12 title for the first time in program history. And the Miami Hurricanes women's basketball team open up ACC tournament play tonight against the Boston College Eagles with tip-off starting at 8 p.m. I had a chance to sit down with guard Jasmine Roberts to hear about her journey to the starting lineup. When forward Destiny Harden went down with a concussion in early January, the Miami Hurricanes were 8-6. But since then, they've implemented a new starter into the lineup, Jasmine Roberts, who has elevated her game in her new role.
I felt like it was an opportunity, to be able to play a lot and start the game. There was a little nerves too because I was filling in for Destiny and those are big shoes to fill.
Last year, Roberts came off the bench behind star guard Kelsey Marshall. And although the bench wasn't an ideal place for Jasmine, she made the most of the opportunities that she got.
Coach says the bench is supposed to make the game better, make the team better. So that was always my mentality, go in there and just do what I can to help.
Roberts was quiet and reserved during her freshman season, but she has since blossomed into one of the loudest voices in the Hurricanes locker room.
I think what I'm most proud of for Jazz is the leadership. She doesn't get that title. People don't talk about it enough, but she's probably the most well-liked person on our team, quiet as it's kept.
Coach right here, Mo, is the fave. He's got him mic'd up all practice.
Roberts was named ACC Player of the Week earlier this month, an accomplishment that confirmed in her eyes that her journey has all been worth it.
It told me that I can play and compete with anybody in the country. The ACC is the best conference in women's basketball, and for a week I was the best player in the conference. So that says a lot about myself, and that gave me a lot of confidence too. Okay, you can play with anybody.
Jazz saves our butt. When we don't know what to do, Jazz. If we need rebounding, Jazz. If we need a defensive stopper, Jazz. If we need an open 3, somebody who's gonna, dot her I's and cross her T's, get to that low X and lift for us and be there to support her teammates, it's her.
Roberts' versatility has proved key for Miami this season, and she'll try and help the team make a run this year in March Madness.
Time for another break, but stay tuned for more stories on NewsVision in just 1 minute. And also, make sure to make your way to UMTV's late-night comedy show Off the Wire, which starts tonight at 8:30 in Studio C. We will have special guest Elena Polk, who was Off the Wire's first black and first female host. Everyone is welcome, but NewsVision will be right back.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
Okay.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
Thanks for sticking with us. 2 student entrepreneurs have started their own clothing brand. It's called Bleach, and the creators had their first pop-up store here on campus this week on the lakeside patio, selling shirts, shorts, hoodies, and more. But what's more important is the message behind the brand.
Main logo centers around sign language, and that comes from my mom's brother being deaf. So we kind of knew sign language just to speak to him, but also just comes from trying to have a nice looking logo, something cool to look at.
Many of the shirts sold include sign language in honor of Amel's uncle.
This weekend, residents in Davie, Florida may have been curious about the long lines and cheerful voices coming from a relatively new music store. Billy Brightman tells us what caused all the excitement.
At the beginning of 2022, high school students Megan Nadal and Michelle Naz did not dream of opening a store, let alone having long lines of people waiting to buy their product. It began as a shared interest in Korean pop music, also known as K-pop, which is a genre that has rapidly gained popularity in America. Despite the large fan base, the girls noticed South Florida lacks K-pop dedicated stores. So, the two friends turned their hobby into a business.
It was genuinely founded with a want for there to be a space for people to hang out. And I think we completed and kind of did that.
K-Pop Castle, located in Davie, Florida, opened just 4 months ago and provides a space for all K-pop fans to strengthen their community. This past weekend, it hosted its first event, a free Q&A session plus a meet and greet with K-pop group Lapillus. Show it up! Hello, we are Lapillus! Who just made their first American national TV appearance, bringing in fans from hundreds of miles away.
We usually travel to Georgia for these events, so we ran away, right away. We just drove this morning just to get here because they don't really do much in Florida, so we're actually really excited that they're here.
It's not often that K-pop groups travel outside of South Korea for anything other than concerts, so this rare event also provided a chance for the group to connect with their international fans, something that would be impossible without stores like this.
We always see them in our social medias, but we haven't had the chance to meet them in person. So we feel so happy to finally be able to come here and meet our fans in person. So we're looking forward to that.
K-Pop Castle plans on having more events that bring the K-pop community together and finally connect fans in Florida with their favorite artists. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Billy Brightman.
And finally, SpaceX and NASA have launched 4 astronauts to the International Space Station early this morning, including astronauts from the US, Russia, and the United Arab Emirates.
Seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8.
The Falcon 9 rocket blasted off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida for the Crew 6 team's 6-month-long mission. The launch comes after a failed attempt on Monday when the mission was called off just minutes before the rocket was set to launch. This was due to a clogged filter that would be used to ignite the rocket's first-stage engines. Today's launch was the 6th joint crew rotation mission between SpaceX and NASA.
Elon Musk does it again. I want to go to that Kennedy Space Center and see one of these rockets take off sometime.
You know, that would be an amazing experience.
Well, that's all we have for NewsVision tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Join us here at the same time next week. Have a great night and stay safe.